I serve as the editor of the COABE Journal, and I am pleased to be joined today by some of the authors for our current edition on financial literacy and adult education. The COABE Journal is published twice a year, and it is a theme-based journal, and we put out calls for articles, and we have responses from folks like these authors here to submit articles on the topic. And so we have a variety of topics that are covered in the 4 articles that are represented here, and so we're going to take just a little bit of time first to get to know each of the authors. So they're going to introduce themselves to you, and then we'll go into a question and answer. Well, Sachiko, thank you so much for being here and with your co-authors. Your particular article is very interesting because you talk about the partnership that AIR and the Alaska Adult Education, Alaska Adult Ed has in developing curriculum standards and guidelines. And can you talk a little bit about the origin of that partnership and the goal of the partnership?
Yes. So Alaska Adult Education contracted with the American Institute of Research to develop, it's a 5-year project, and develop college and career readiness standards, and as well as content standards on social studies and science, and we also developed English language proficiency standards, and I think Alaska Adult Education had this vision to develop statewide standards for adult learners. And Wendy, would you like to add anything about our partnership?
As the state director, we felt like the national standards were a fantastic foundation. Mm-hmm. But the problem with Alaska is we are very unique, and we rely on, we have a very culture-heavy population, and we wanted to make sure that we're representing that in our standards. And so we had that vision going into it, and so when we contracted with AIR, we wanted to make sure that that vision got put in there, and including our financial literacy. And so some of our strands, as Bridget might talk about later, is that we wanted to make sure that those were represented. Mm-hmm. And so with everything we did, we wanted to make sure the culture of Alaska was in our standards and embedded within those.
And you intentionally anchored those into different topics. You want to talk a little bit about that?
So in Anchor 2, for example, which is part of the financial literacy, it was develop how you can help students develop financial literacy understanding. So we broke it out into different subgroups, and in the article we actually talk about how you can develop a lesson plan. So how students might use their PFD, for example, and the PFD is the permanent fund dividend that all Alaskan residents get every year. And that sum of money is really a windfall. So last year it was $1,000 per person. Other years it's been as much as $3,800 a person. So helping our students understand how to use that money, how to understand about budgeting. And so that was part of the thinking that went into developing Anchor 2. And all of the little lessons that we had as part of Anchor 2.
So what have you found, have the students been pretty responsive to these?
Yes.
And do you have any testimonies of how that has helped them?
They really appreciated how being able and guided through the process of budgeting. Because for a lot of students who don't have a lot of money, budgeting can be overwhelming. Mm-hmm. And getting them to be very mindful and very deliberate about how they are going to spend their PFD. Mm-hmm. And thinking about, am I going to buy the television? Am I going to buy the plane tickets? Or am I going to budget for the heating oil? And so having them make those decisions before they had to, and just being more mindful about those financial decisions that are so impactful.
Mm-hmm. And I appreciate the subtitle of your piece, Statewide Standards-Based Approach to Real-World Readiness, and it sounds like you've really integrated those. And in the article, you talk about, in particular, Standards 2 and 5, and how they relate directly to the curriculum. Can you expand on those just a little bit, the focus and purpose?
Yes, so standard 2 is about decision making, and whether it's career decisions or investment decisions or checking out the benefit packages before committing to a career or job, and then we also go into some of the tax responsibilities, and then so standard anchor 2 is really about students making informed decisions. And Anchor 5 is about understanding a bigger picture of Alaska's economy, or the PFD that Bridget talked about. It's more locally specific, place-based approach to developing standards.
Okay. And let me ask you this. So from the perspective of a state director, what do you hope other state directors and perhaps other program directors or administrators would get out of this particular article?
So one of the things that I hope is that they will take a look at this article and think, oh, we really do need to look at our own population, and do we take what is already out there with the national standards, which is foundational, and then take it a little bit further? Because we do all have our unique population, and make it unique to our states. We have K through 12, and that's one of the things that we used is our K through 12 standards, and we took what is not adult focused. We took those and we took those out. We don't need those. We took the GED, which is not part of our curriculum, and we brought that in. So we know that we know we need to teach the GED. And then we took our culture that we need to bring in, and we brought that in as well. So we took all of those pieces and wrapped them into our standards, which we felt were very important. And we didn't do it in a silo. We brought in our teachers as well as our advisory, and we really asked them, what are you teaching? What is important? What needs to go in there? Because it's not about me. I don't teach it. They do. And so they needed to be the voice of their students. And so we really had this discussion going back between the research, as Sachiko would say, myself as the state and what I can provide as the professional development, and the teachers that are teaching it. And it was a team effort to make all of our standards, and we're almost done with them.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that, and I think the article not only talks about the value of such standards and your plan in integrating those standards and making them practical, but you talk about the process as well. So
Yes.
very interesting. Thank you so much for your contribution.
You're welcome.
Thank you.